Well, I'm about to ask Bill a question because Bill loves answering questions, and I always have questions for him all the time, right, Bill?
That's right.
So, Bill and Kate Hafer with the Hafer Group of Southern Classic Builders. Bill, what's earnest money? Who's going to hold it? Why is there such a thing as earnest money? Tell us everything that you can about it.
So the whole purpose of earnest money is to ensure that the buyer is serious about making the purchase of your home. It's going to be held in place by a third party, which is typically going to be either the buyer's broker or the closing attorney for where the final close of your home is going to take place. So they're holding it into an escrow account, which means they can't touch it. It's not their money to spend or do anything like that. It's ultimately being held in place on your behalf. And should something go wrong outside of the due diligence period and there's a breach of some sort on the part of the buyer, then the seller is entitled to keep the earnest money.
The
whole thing that was deposited. So, obviously you want a serious amount of earnest money based on the value of your home. You want it to be somewhere between 3 and 5%, albeit it somewhat varies. But you want a reasonable amount, and you should consult with your realtor to make sure that what's being offered is a reasonable amount. So if you're especially evaluating multiple offers, you want to make sure that there's enough earnest money down that it's worth your while, because you're ultimately taking your home off the market temporarily while you are processing and working with that buyer in terms of evaluating and getting your home sold.
So it's kind of like insurance.
Kind of. I mean, it's insurance. It is insurance that the buyer is serious, and that if something goes wrong, then by all means, then you get to keep that money as the seller. But just a fair warning for everybody that the buyer has through the entire due diligence process to basically back out of the deal at any time, whether it's because there's something wrong with the house or that they've made a discovery about the home, or if they've just gotten cold feet. That due diligence period is typically going to be 10 to 12 days, give or take, and that ultimately is what's going to drive things. But the earnest money is ultimately held by a third party who's going to keep your best interests at heart when appropriate.
So what happens at the end of the sale to the earnest money? Does that get applied to the sale?
So yeah, the earnest money is meant to be a kind of down payment, not to be the entire down payment that ultimately comes to you. Obviously, if you do have a mortgage, you've got to pay off your mortgage. If you don't have a mortgage, then ultimately the buyer will come to the table either through financing or through cash and provide the rest of the money that wasn't already deposited as part of the earnest money. So that the accumulation of the earnest money and the more and the bigger contribution is what's going to lead to what ultimately ends up in your pocket when you sell your home.
All right. Well, if you guys have any questions about earnest money or anything to do with real estate, then give us a call, 678-628-KATE. You can leave a comment, you can text, you can like this page too to receive these awesome videos every time they go live, right, Bill?
Absolutely.
And to ask Bill some more questions, because that's all I do all day long is ask him questions. He answers, so.
All right, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.